All right, let's talk about something that's super important if you have global ambitions for your business. It's a hidden tax rule that can really sneak up on you if you're not careful. It's called permanent establishment.
So picture this. You're ready to grow. You're thinking about new markets, new customers. You're ready to take your company to that next level, internationally. It's a really exciting time for sure.
But here's the thing. That huge step forward could come with a hidden financial risk. Without the right planning, your first move into a new country could also mean you're stepping right into a brand new and totally unexpected tax obligation.
Okay, let's break it down. The official term for this whole concept is permanent establishment, or just PE for short. Now, the textbook definition is pretty simple. It's a fixed place of business in another country where you conduct your business.
But let's cut through the official language. What does that actually mean? The bottom line is this. If your business creates a permanent establishment, you've just given that foreign country the legal right to tax the profits you make there.
So that leads to the million-dollar question, right? How do you actually create a PE? Because, it's not always as obvious as just renting an office. Let's walk through the 3 most common ways this happens.
First up, we've got the most classic, the most straightforward way to cross that threshold, having a fixed place of business. This is all about your company's physical footprint in another country.
And yeah, this is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. We're talking about an office, a branch, a factory, a workshop, or even something like a mine. The key idea here is permanence and control. If you have a physical spot that's at your disposal for a good chunk of time, you're probably creating a PF.
Let's make this super concrete. Imagine a software company from the US decides to open a small sales office in Berlin. Boom. Right there, that office becomes a permanent establishment. And this is a big deal. It's not just about paying rent. It means Germany now has the right to tax the profits generated by that branch. Suddenly, the company has to get familiar with German tax law. Okay, the second type is a little more specific. It's not just about having a permanent building. It's about how long a project lasts. This one's especially a big deal for industries like construction and installation. For this one, the trigger isn't the building itself. It's the calendar. Time is the key. Most international tax treaties have a specific time limit, and it's often 12 months. So, if a U.S. construction firm is building a bridge in Germany and the project takes 14 months, well, they've just crossed that line. The entire project site is now considered a PE, and it's subject to German taxes.
And finally, there's a type of PE that is maybe the sneakiest because it doesn't even require a building. This one is all about having a person, what's called a dependent agent, on the ground who can act for your company and, this is the important part, has the authority to close deals.
Think about it like this. A Canadian company might not have a single physical office in France, but if they have a local sales agent there who is regularly signing contracts on their behalf, that person is their presence. That agent's power to sign on the dotted line is what creates the PE, giving France the right to tax the profits from those very deals.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. It sounds like almost anything could be a PE, but don't worry, there is a safe zone. Tax rules get that some activities are just preparatory, and they generally don't trigger a tax bill. The crucial difference to keep in your head is core business versus prep work. Core functions that directly bring in revenue, like your team signing contracts or fulfilling orders, that's going to create a PE. But that preparatory or auxiliary stuff is usually in the clear. Things like just storing your goods, doing market research, or running some ads, those generally won't create a PE all by themselves. So with all these different rules and nuances, how does anybody keep it all straight? Well, there is an official rule book. Countries sign what are called bilateral tax treaties to create clear, predictable rules for international business. These treaties are absolutely essential. They create a clear framework. For one, they set specific thresholds, like that 12-month rule we just talked about. They also figure out how to divide up the taxing rights fairly between the countries. And crucially, they have rules to prevent the nightmare scenario for any business getting taxed on the same profits twice, once at home and once abroad.
All right, we've covered a ton of ground. So before we wrap this up, let's just lock in the most important points you need to remember from this explainer.
First, a permanent establishment is not a casual business trip. It means you have a significant, ongoing business presence in another country, whether that's through a physical place, a long-term project, or an agent who can sign deals for you.
Second, always remember the consequence. The moment you cross that PE threshold, you've triggered the host country's right to tax the profits you make from your business there. And finally,
you're not flying blind in all this. Tax treaties are your guidebooks. They are the detailed maps that lay out all the rules of the road, the thresholds, and the exceptions for every country you're working with.
So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. Your business is global. Is your tax strategy? Because when you're expanding, making sure those two things are perfectly aligned is everything. Thanks for tuning in.